All right, day 8. Yesterday's recovery day went really well, at least I would say. Um, Back on chest day, back on the rotation. Not much new. We're gonna try maintaining that pull. We're gonna do some rear delts, and then some push movements, and then some fly movements, some triceps. Try not to forget the triceps. It's like only 2 sets, and my triceps will already be exhausted, so I should be able to get it in, but we'll see. I've always tried to get abs and triceps at the end, and I feel like some days I do, some days I don't, And, you just got to give yourself grace and patience to work those things in along the way. It's not 100 steps a day, it's 1 step a day, 1% a day, and that's all that matters. Growth is what we're looking for, not success. Because success, for reaching that 100% is never possible. Back when I was in middle school, when I was transferring out of Windermere Preparatory School to Bridgewater Middle School, they gave me a test. Did I already put pre-workout in this? Yeah, they gave me a test. So first, they gave me the 7th grade math test, and I got 99% on that. And then 8th grade math test, and I got 99% on that. And then they took me to geometry. I hated geometry, so that's where I ended up. Pretty sure I already took reasoning, but whatever. I may not have. I'll check through the recording later. The point of the story is, there's always going to be 99%. It's never going to be 100. Because 100% is impossible. We're human. We're never meant to be perfect. We're just meant to try our best, to do our best, day by day. And that best can vary as well. Because sometimes we're not feeling our best. Sometimes life's just throwing us a pretty big ball of dookie. And you got to do your best with what you get, Some people are really good at doing that. Some people, they still need some practice. That's what I mean by saying we need some patience and grace for ourselves. Because every morning when we wake up, or whenever you wake up, it's all about practice. All about giving yourself that patience and grace in order to keep that practice in. And even on the days that you can't, even on the days that you just want to lay in bed, that in and of itself is a form of practice too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But today, we are not resting. We are not taking it easy. We're going to go get our good little chest pump. We got a good bit of work today. I got some cleaning to do because the missus will be coming this weekend, and I don't like having a dirty place for her. So, yeah. Day 8. Back on the grind. See you guys at the gym. Alright, so starting off chest day. Warm up went pretty well. Hit a new PR on the bike. I think it was 8:30, 8:35 for 3 miles. At level 17. Been improving pretty well. Jump rope's been going a lot better too. I've been trying to rotate my hips a little more to be able to bounce off that left leg more than last time. But yeah. So heading to the main workout, we start with some rear delt flies. Still feeling pretty good. I think the activation was a little slower today than normal, but that's okay. Still squeezing pretty well. Yeah, I think I already did warm up set. I think this is the second set, and then from there, moving on to bench press, incline bench press, just like last time. Most of these movements are rinse and repeat. They're always going to be the same. It's just minor changes here on angle of the elbow or whatever, just to get better, a fuller pump. So like I said, these are mostly just for myself at the end of the day, so it can get a little tedious to watch through all these. But slow and steady gets the job done. Um, I've never, I guess the gym kind of turns into a pretty regular motion. You know, there isn't, you have your key movements, and as long as you stick to them, you'll be fine. Expanding from them is not a bad thing either. There's always a good thing with trying new movements, especially like dynamic movements. That's always a good thing. But when you're trying to hit the little parts, um, or when you're trying to really get that good activation, your body's going to react to things that you've practiced. It's not going to react well to newer things. You know, the new stimulation, while it can help with growing new fibers, it's going to keep you from, you're not going to be able to maximize that for a while, you know? And that's why it's called muscle maturity, because the time that you've been putting into training that muscle, it really shows in how it develops. I think for the most part, especially with chest, since we're doing chest today, for the most part, it's a relatively quick movement to do. You know, there's not a lot that you need to do in order to be able to stimulate the muscle group. There's really only three parts to the chest, right? You have your upper chest, mid chest, and then low chest. Kind of like the triceps, actually. To stimulate those three heads, all you need to do is stretch them and push them, right? That's how you That's how you tear the muscle fibers within that that group. So as long as you do, let's say, I don't know if I can, like rep count isn't a good way to go about it. I would say if you're doing three really strong sets, right? Three strong sets. By three strong sets, I'm talking about like these sets like you're seeing here, where I'm putting in, I'm reaching the point of full exertion at every weight, right? And then when I'm not able to go beyond that rep on that weight, I drop it down to a lower weight. I hit that superset to get that extra bit of stretch, to get that extra little bit of blood flow in order to be able to tear those muscle fibers a little more. That's why you're seeing me hit those last reps. I'm not going, and like going heavy, it has its pros in terms of muscle development, but when you're building for strength and building for muscle density is a very different, it looks very different in training. When you're building for strength, you're trying to optimize your energy levels so you can move that weight in the best possible way, right? You're trying to utilize your body at its angles that you have based on your length, based on your height, your limb length. That's what I meant by that. And like hip, where your hip is placed on your body. You take all that into consideration, and it's a movement of force, of physics, right? when you're doing a deadlift, you want to hinge the best way possible in order to be able to get the weight off the ground before you even start actually lifting. Or with squat, if you have wider hips and you want to move your knees at a wider position in order to be able to accommodate that weight in the hole when you're in the hole of a squat. But when it comes to muscle development, what you're trying to focus on is tearing the muscle down, stretching the muscle, getting as much blood flow into that muscle, as much. An essential part of why we take creatine is because it helps resolve the water in your. It helps connect the water to your muscle fibers. I think that's the science. I'll have to check in on that. I mean, this isn't meant to be like a science-based channel. I just like showing. This is all for myself at the end of the day, and this is how I understand it. I'm sure there's more explanation to it, but for the sake of this conversation and for the sake of this video, I'll keep it at that. Anywho, so like I was saying, for chest, you're not really trying to expand beyond those two movements. You have your flies and you have your push movements. As long as you hit your with incline bench, the great thing about it is that you're able to focus both your upper chest and your mid chest as long as you're sitting at that 35 to 40 degree angle. When you're going a little over 45, you're starting to hit more of your shoulders, and when you go under 35, it's more just center chest or the middle part of your chest. So when you're going at that 35 to 40 degree angle, or 30 to 40 depending on, of course, limb lengths and all that, you're optimizing for both upper and middle part of your chest, and you get a really good stretch, especially at the bottom and at the top. So that's why you see me squeeze so much at the top and maintain that squeeze throughout the entire motion. Of course, that applies to all muscle groups when you're developing them, but specifically in chest, you're going to see a lot of growth when you prioritize that. You see me doing the same thing with the chest flies as well, maintaining that squeeze at the top and bringing that squeeze out in order to be able to get that full flexion within the muscle group. Flies are more of mid-chest, lower chest, right? Because you see me coming out all the way. When I try to bring it out all the way with my waistband, I'm using that lower chest to squeeze and bring it back up. While as on the way down, I'm using my mid chest to let it out. That's why you always see me, like whenever I prep for these, you see me maintain that, or first squeeze my chest before you see me any arm movement in the initiation, just like that. Bring it to the front, squeeze, let it out slowly, all the way down. I think I'm going to do a few more reps of these. This was my second. Another thing is you don't need a lot. You don't need to do a lot of sets in general. 2 top sets is great. Maybe 1 warm-up set, depending on what you're doing. But if you've already done plenty of other stuff, you don't need another warm-up set, right? If you're pumped up, you're good to go. You don't need to do warm-up sets on every single workout. Pump looked pretty good today too. Sitting at a nice and easy 215.8. I'll probably do a quick refeed this Sunday because I've been losing weight pretty quickly. By refeed, I'm talking like, a nice steak, like continuing to stick to a protein prioritized diet with not minimal carbs, around 300 grams of carbs. I think I'm eating around 200 grams of protein and about 90 grams of fat. And I'm sticking to that, not doing too much sugars or milk or anything like that. I do allow myself 1 chocolate a day, and I love that chocolate. It's a chocolate bar from Whole Foods. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see what it is. But yeah, great pump, great workout. No complaints today. Good way to start this split. I'm looking forward to tomorrow with back day. Yeah, time to hit the bed. Good night, y'all.